Entitled tourist mom throws a hissy fit over foreign paper sheet for her child at a restaurant. I live in Sweden, and before I changed my career to IT, I took a tour around restaurant town as a waiter at a restaurant. During summers, my city gets a lot of tourists, mostly Germans, Norwegians, and Danes, but Brits and Americans aren't unheard of. This day I was waiting this American family of three, the mother, father, and son, who was around 9 or 10. I immediately thought that this was going to be a doozy because the mother immediately referred to me in English, and neither asked, "Do you speak English?" in either English or Swedish. With that said, a lot of us do speak English. I think the number sits at around 90 to 95%, but it's still polite to ask as there are a few who don't. They ordered their drinks and food, and I made my way back to the kitchen to give them the order. On the way back, I brought them their utensils. We also have these paper sheets with riddles, labyrinths, some basic math questions with fruits and vegetables, and animals to color. For the children who visit us, together with some crayons. The riddles and word plays are, obviously, in Swedish, but foreign kids can still enjoy the labyrinth and coloring the animals. I gave the kid the sheet, explained to him that while he won't understand the riddles, he can still have fun with the rest. And he seemed happy to have something to do. I then left to wait other tables. This is where the fun, or should I say entitlement, begins. The mother calls me to their table, and I go there and ask what's wrong. How can I help you? I am. Entitled mom, excuse me, this sheet is in Swedish and my son can't understand. We want one in English. Mia, I'm sorry, but these are the only ones we have, but if you want, I can translate the riddles for your son and help him solve it. No, I want my son to improve his reading, and this must be in English. Why are they in Swedish? We don't understand that. Mia, I'm sorry, but as we are in Sweden, most, if not all, material is aimed first and foremost towards a Swedish audience. Your son can still enjoy more than half of the activities as they are self-explanatory. And this is discrimination. Not everybody speaks your heathen language. I want another waiter. I waved towards my colleague, who is more seasoned and experienced. Colleague, hi, how can I help? This person refuses to give my son this paper in English. He doesn't understand what's written. See, sorry, we only have these in Swedish. But there's a bookstore in the next block that I know sells these kinds of riddles and questions in English. If you want to buy him something to entertain himself. We shouldn't have to. The customer service of this place is awful. Why are they even in Swedish if everybody speaks English here? The funny thing is that while this is aspiring, the son just sits there, happily coloring the tiger. He's completely in his own world and seems to have a good time. The rest of the night was fairly uneventful, but she gave me the evil stare every time I served them. She didn't give any tip either, which is no big deal as we don't really have a tipping culture here. But it was still funny as she would probably freak out about that if she was the waitress. The son managed to finish about 85% of the stuff on the paper, only leaving out the parts he couldn't understand, so I would say that he was satisfied.
Karen would wait for the Canadian National Anthem because we aren't Canadian. A little context for this story: I work for a minor league baseball team in their fan information booth. One part of my job, on top of answering fan questions, is running the Price is Right type wheel spinning game where you can win a variety of baseball-related prizes. My manager asks that if we can help it, we hold off on spinning the wheel while the national anthem is being sung out of respect. The wheel makes a very loud ticking noise as it goes around. Now onto the story. A couple of weeks ago, the team I was working for hosted a Canadian minor league team. So naturally someone sang both O Canada and the Star-Spangled Banner. There had been a long line for the wheel leading up to the start of the game, and just as one family finished their turn, I hear our on-field host introduce the singer moments before they are about to begin O Canada. I naturally look up to the next family in line and say to the mom standing with her son, "Thanks for waiting, ma'am. It will only be a few more minutes. Your son can take his turn as soon as the national anthem is over. Thank you again for your patience." At this point, O Canada has begun playing, and the lady looks me dead in the eye and says we aren't Canadian. Taken aback by her attitude, I respond, "Well, we wait for both national anthems before spinning out of respect for the opposing team." At this point, her son looks up at her and says, "Can I spin now?" To which she responds, "No, this lady is making us wait even though we aren't Canadian." We then wait in silence while the singer finished up both anthems before her son took his turn at the wheel. When he claimed his prize, I kept my tone upbeat, not wanting to anger this woman more when I said, "Thanks for waiting, guys, enjoy the game." She just looks back at me, staring daggers before turning and walking away.
Entitled lady is angry at me for catching her daughter. So here's something that happened a couple of years ago. I don't remember all of it, but I figured I'd share it in here, as I've been mostly lurking and commenting. I don't write these often, so bear with me, typos, yada yada yada. You guys know the drill. So I'm from a big town, but I attend university in a smaller place, so I had to move up there. It's also an area where many tourists go, as the sea is very close by. So naturally trains on that route are extremely crowded. I, having visited my parents, board the evening regional train and, as usual, crowded. Regional trains are the cheapest without advance booking, so everyone tries taking the same train. Hence it was so packed, you basically couldn't move. I somehow made my way through all the tourists away from the door, and settle in front of entitled mother EM and nice kid NK, who are stood on the first step of the stairs. The kid is like maybe 13 or 14 and female, so with me being 18 at the time, we're not too far apart age-wise. The train departs, and I already start noticing I have made a massive mistake boarding this coach. IM is the special kind of an entitled person. A minute into the ride, she starts ranting. She asks passengers to back off like our lady, tells them they stink of sweat. Your lady, it's like 25 degrees Celsius, and this train is crowded, and constantly reassembles her bags, occupying an entire step on the stairs going to the upper deck. People can sit on those when the train is crowded, but she felt entitled to have her bags there. I'm not too confrontational, so I don't tell her what everyone's thinking, but people's faces tell the entire story. About an hour into the journey, and we are all collectively losing our mind, NK included, judging by her facial expression. The train reaches a small town and brakes quite violently. Caught off guard, Ian bumps into NK, and she stumbles down the stair. It was just my instinct, but I tried catching her and somehow got a hold of NK. That was close. Ian's time has come. While NK wants to thank me for stopping her fall, Ian starts screaming at me. Her rant basically goes as follows. Excuse me, did you just touch my daughter? I sure did. Why would you do that? She was about to fall off the stairs. Someone could have gotten hurt. No, she was fine. You're just looking for an excuse to grab her butt. You freaking pervert. Excuse me, she just nearly fell. I just extended my hands. No, you are not. You are disgusting. I'm going to call the police on you. At this point, I'm already done with her. I just ignore her and hope she stops. Also, the whole coach is looking, and my shrugging is met with similar behavior from the other passengers. And to the conductor, a total mad lad. He leans into the coach through the door. Conductor, sorry for that abrupt halt. Is everyone fine? No, I am not. We are being sexually harassed here. The conductor clearly sees how annoyed we are with this lady. He grins, and in his most blunt voice he comes to my rescue. Conductor, ma'am, this is a train, not a cab. If you want your personal space, feel free to exit and take the next train. It'll only be 2 hours. No, he should get off, points at me. Ma'am, I kept your daughter from falling. Conductor looks at me. I know how to fix this. Would you want to be promoted to first class? Yes, please. Conductor, I am talking to the young man. So, I get promoted to first, where literally no one is sitting. Throws a temper tantrum and ends up being removed from the train, probably invalidating her ticket in the process. It took 5 minutes of racial slurs, but we got it done. Definitely the weirdest train ride I've ever had. Only feel bad for NK having to wait 2 hours with EM. Even worse, her probably having to spend a whole vacation with her.
No, we don't have finished thesis here. After reading the stories on here, I decided to share one of mine. English is not my first language. Some backstory, I work in a rather big print shop in a student town. Usually Before summer break, we are busy making books with thesis. As anyone who ever wrote a thesis or even a paper for a course knows, this takes time, effort, and turn it in on a particular deadline. We usually know that a deadline is near when many theses are needed. This story happened about 2 years ago. It was Wednesday. We had a busy day with other customers, and there were also 3 or 4 theses that were picked up or needed to be printed. I just gave a very happy young lady her books when entitled Mom, EM entered the store. I said good luck to the young lady and greeted the EM. M, my son needs his thesis until Friday. Me, this is daily business as summer break starts in the week. EM, okay, so his thesis should be about this and that title. Me, the topic doesn't matter. We just need the finished thesis as PDF and we print and bind it for y'all. EM, what finished PDF? Me, your son did the thesis on computer. We need the finished version as PDF. We often have parents asking things for their kids, and sometimes they have zero knowledge about computers. EM, oh, you should write and print the thesis. My son really doesn't have time for that kind of BS. Me, we don't offer this kind of service. EM, no, you offer that. The young lady left with what looked like what I need. Me, yeah, because she wrote it and brought the finished file for printing. We only print finished files. I mean, I don't even know anything about this and that title. EM, and how on earth my sweet little boy should then make his bachelor degree? When he doesn't turn in anything, he will be kicked out. So, this is where I really get surprised. In my country, a university can kick you out if you don't turn in your thesis in 2 years after you did your last exam. When this happens to you, you need to start again. So, this little son, who is at least 23 at this point, didn't do anything for the last 2 years. Me, if he somehow is finished by Friday morning, we can do it express until 1 p.m. EM, no, you will do it for him. This is what you are here for. Me, no, we only do the printing of the finished file. We won't write it because it is nearly impossible to do it in 2 days. EM, so my son will be kicked out because of you. This is where I got impatient because, you know, I have stuff to do. So I said, no, he will be kicked out because he is lazy or stupid or even both. And mumbles something about rude service and storms off. My co-worker just shakes his head in disbelief. We saw parents picking up thesis and complaining that the finished product is not what they wanted but what the kid needed because of guidelines. We had parents complaining about the price although they agreed on a few hours early. But we never had a mother seriously asking about ghost writing a whole thesis for her kid. Most of us didn't even have a college degree. I have more if wanted.
Check out my other tremendous videos.